Hello and welcome to the Premier Football Podcast. I'm Rafe Garland and I'm joined here today by the obviously incredibly important Joseph Doherty. Joe, what are we doing today?
Something like that. I was just standard day in work, right?
Yeah.
Usually I get a chance to go home and change. I had to schedule a call for 5:30 today, so no such luck. So straight from the office, looking like Dapper Dan.
Fair enough. Right. We are proud to bring you our first ever January transfer special because as enjoyable as the FA Cup was, we're not giving a whole hour to it because we just can't talk about five or six Premier League reserve teams playing against Championship teams over and over again. You're leaving the EU, Joe, are you?
I'm taking out
Hashtag Joseph.
I don't want to make a political statement. The organisation I work for, it does a lot of work with the EU, so I often wear an EU badge, and I forgot to take it off.
Well, everyone knew you had it on now because I made a big deal of it. Right, we're going to go through the clubs alphabetically and have a quick look at transfer rumours linking players in and out of the club, as well as talking about the positions in the teams that we think possibly need filling or teams have too many of. Alphabetically, I'm so sad to announce that we have to start another pod off with Arsenal. Joe, over to you. Who do Arsenal need to sign in January?
I think it's clear from the last, I don't know how long, 10 years, that Arsenal desperately need quality centre backs.
They need quality, period.
And quickly. And we're linked. There are two names. One I would say is quality, and the other I would say was once quality that are linked with Arsenal, and that's Dayot Upamecano of RB Leipzig. Very, very promising up and coming young French centre back who has 18 months left on his contract. He's told them he's not going to be signing a new deal, and we actually put a bid in of 55-60 million pounds towards the end of the summer, I think on deadline day, and there wasn't enough time to get it over the line, so we went for David Luiz instead.
Will he move mid-season?
That's the thing. Leipzig are top of the Bundesliga. Didn't they get out of their group in the Champions League? So they have a lot to play for. You'd think that he might want to, but at the same time, if he's not committed to the club, then there's every chance that he moves mid-season. The thing is, they probably won't want to let him go. But then, come the summer, his value will have depreciated by 10-15 million pounds. So if they could take, I'd say they would sell him for 55 million pounds if we put in a bid for that amount we would get him.
The Boateng deal does seem a little bit more realistic.
I don't think that we need that. We signed Socrates in the summer of 2018, David Luiz in the summer of 2019. We don't need another 30 plus centre back on high wages. Two is enough. Two is okay. I don't mind that the way they played in the last couple of games. Before under Emery, I thought they were shocking, but under Arteta they've been better. But it's just, how does it make sense to go out and sign a player who has been made fifth or sixth choice centre back at Bayern Munich, told he can leave for free, will command wages of about £150,000 a week.
Yeah,
it's insane. Even if it was on a 6-month contract, I think that it's insane. We just don't need that. I would rather promote a youth player than go for Jerome Boateng. Big no from me.
Fair enough.
Big no.
It wouldn't be a transfer window if Arsenal weren't linked with an attacking midfielder. Hakim Ziyech. Is that his Ziyech?
Ziyech.
Yeah. Is linked from Ajax.
Yeah. Very interesting player. A player who had a release clause of about £25 million in the summer, and it expired. So now everyone is being quoted £43 million, €50 million. He is a talent. The only issue with him is that he's 26. It's not exactly old. You say he's in his prime, but he's never played in a top league.
Yeah.
Playing in the Eredivisie, and it's quite rare for a player to be in his mid to late 20s and move to the Premier League or move to a big.
Luis Suarez did it.
He was like 23.
He was a bit older. Was he not 24, 25?
No, he was like 23. We can definitely look it up, but I'd say that he was 22, 23. Okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
But usually, certainly players coming from Holland, they move in their early 20s, and it's just, I think he's very good, and he would add depth to the squad. I don't think that he's very similar to Pepe. They're both left-footed right wingers, and I think.
Right. Well, I'll oppose. Do they need him?
I think he'd add depth to the squad. It's like Liverpool signing Minamino. Did you need him? No. Will he add depth to the squad? Yes.
Okay.
Is he going to be a first team player? No. maybe.
Yeah, rotate in. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was signed more as cover for Firmino.
Yeah, the issue I have with that signing, although I think Ziyech is a very good player, is what I've already mentioned, and that him and Pepe are left-footed right wingers. Like, why not go and get a right-footed left winger?
Yeah,
like that surely makes sense.
fair enough. We'll quickly breeze over the outgoings. Mkhitaryan looks like he just signed a permanent deal in Italy. He's at Roma, isn't he?
Arsenal rejected a bid of £8.5 million, and
That's more a case of just figuring out what the number is. That deal is going to happen.
I think if it gets up to 10, 12 and a half, 15 with add-ons, something like that, yeah, and I think that's best for all parties.
Elneny and Mustafi. Elneny is more likely to sign a permanent deal again, isn't he?
Yeah, he's with Besiktas, and I think he's done quite well there, as you'd expect at that kind of level. And yeah, I don't know, 5-10 million euros, something like that you'd expect.
And Arsenal fans are just praying that anyone is going to come and take Mustafi off their hands.
Yeah, apparently Mustafi has recently changed his agent, and his agent has demanded a meeting with the club to discuss why his client hasn't been playing. And I think if anyone's watched Mustafi over the last 3.5 years,
or if anyone's watched Arsenal fan TV,
it's abundantly clear why he's not been playing this season. And no, good riddance. We can't get rid of him soon enough. I'd let him go for £5 million.
Right.
I'd let him go for free.
Thankfully,
get him off the books.
6 minutes and 15 seconds is all we're giving to Arsenal today. We'll move on. Aston Villa are next. A team that find themselves sitting 18th in the Premier League, Joe, in a season that it'll probably take more than 40 points to stay up.
They're 17th.
17th, sorry. Teams in and around the drop zone are going to need to buy players. They're going to need to invest if they value their future in the Premier League.
Without doubt. I think it'd be a very dangerous game for any of the... I'm going to discount Everton, but Southampton down, they're all in a relegation scrap.
Yeah.
None of them can be out of the running. I mean, technically, of course, the likes of Everton, Arsenal, Palace, Sheffield United... It's not going to happen, though, is it? It's going to be.
It's very unlikely.
But what's interesting this season, as you mentioned, is that everyone is picking up points. You rarely have a game week where the bottom 5-6 teams.
It's really only Norwich that are starting to drift off, isn't it?
Yeah, and at their own. Sean and I discussed this last week.
We'll come to Norwich, but hang on, let's go through Aston Villa for a minute. They seem to be linked with forward players. They seem to be short on goals.
Well, Wesley, who had been through a goal drought, I think he only scored his second or third goal of the season the other day, and he suffered a season-ending injury. So,
the man with the big heels.
The man with the heel too big to deny Jack Grealish a perfectly.
They've been linked with Olivier Giroud, Joe, one of Arsenal's top players.
Yeah, he as far as I'm concerned, he'd be an upgrade on Wesley. I didn't think Wesley was that great. He scored on the weekend and it was a decent finish. Went through the keeper's legs on a kind of half volley, turn and spin. But Giroud, when he's on form and he's going to be hungry because although he's always been the main man for Didier Deschamps, he's not been playing at all. So surely he knows that he needs to get a move this January, and
there are 2 or 3 clubs in for Giroud.
There are as well, and as I'm sure we'll discuss later, I think that Villa wouldn't be the one that we would
most appealing to.
Exactly,
Crystal Palace or Newcastle are there as well.
Yeah,
similar players, Glenn Murray and Adebayor are being linked with Aston Villa as well, but they do seem to want kind of an experienced Premier League target man, someone that's going to come in straight away and be able to get them another 10 goals before the end of the season kind of job.
I would discount Adebayor. He would cost a lot of money, and he didn't.
Is he not without a club?
He is without a club, but his wages. He's always commanded high wages.
But I mean, they'd take him on a 18-month deal max, and because they wouldn't have to pay 6 months, they wouldn't have to pay a transfer fee. It would work out the same for them.
Something like that. But I would go for Glenn Murray ahead of him. I thought Murray was very good last season.
I think he was brilliant. It's more a question of whether or not he'd move. But if he wants to,
I'd say he would.
He's not got first team football.
He's not, and he's not going to. I think it's abundantly clear that Potter.
Is he 34 now?
I think he is, yeah. But I think it's very clear that Graham Potter wants to play in a different way, and that's why Neil Maupay, a much smaller but a much more mobile, quick striker, has been starting for them all season.
They have also been linked with Darren Randolph, who seemed close to being agreed. Sorry, apologies. He seemed close to agreeing a return to West Ham, but apparently Aston Villa have now come in to rival that. Did they suffer an injury to their goalkeeper as well?
Out for the season.
Yeah, so they're going to need someone to come in and do that job.
That's an interesting one. Obviously, Randolph has previous with West Ham, but I don't think that West Ham are going to be able to guarantee him first team football. I think that's just... Listen, they have David Martin, who's a best championship player, and Roberto, who is even worse than
Darren Randolph, who's likely to play for Ireland should they qualify for the Euros in the summer. So he's going to want to have football under his belt.
With Fabianski back playing games, he's just not going to get that first team exposure. Whether he has too much, whether he respects West Ham enough to go back and do it for them is another thing. But I'd say for himself, that Aston Villa seems the more logical step with Heaton out. There's an opportunity there for him to go in and play regular games for the next 60.
Finally,
months.
Jared Bowen, an interesting prospect from Hull, is linked with a handful of Premier League teams, and Aston Villa seem to be the closest to getting a deal over the line. I don't know a whole lot about him. He's coveted by 2 or 3 Premier League clubs. We'll go through them as we get to them. Do they need another attacking midfielder?
No.
Unless there's going to be an outgoing of Jack Grealish.
There's Jack Grealish. Sorry.
Connor Horn and John McGinn's injured.
Yeah, he is. I was going to say Wesley Houlihan, but
No.
Connor Horn, yeah.
Connor Horn, yeah.
I don't think they do, and I think that they would be extremely foolish to let. I don't think Jack Grealish would do that to Aston Villa, to leave mid-season with them in a relegation.
I don't think that'll be like him.
I can't. He just doesn't.
Speaking of Jack Grealish, he's found himself in trouble for something that he said on Twitter, not for the first time in his life. I'm not sure if you saw it. After the Birmingham game, I'm trying to think who one of the goal scorers. The kid got his first goal for Birmingham anyway, and put up a tweet obviously saying, "Oh, it was brilliant to score my first goal tonight" or whatever, and dedicated it to, oh God, who did he dedicate it to? Someone that's had a tragedy in their family recently, former Birmingham player. Loads of people in the Premier League have been giving tributes. No, not just particularly this story. There's a Premier League.
Oh, sorry. There was a guy who was playing for Cardiff who died at the age of 39.
No. Someone's daughter died. Who was it? It'll come to me. Someone's daughter died recently. Anyway, he dedicated the goal to him and his family, like lots of footballers have been doing recently. And Jack Grealish put up a puking emoji underneath it because he's a Birmingham player.
Yeah,
scoring goals for Birmingham. So I think a lot of even a lot of Villa fans said that was a step too far, but he does bleed claret and blue. You would be surprised to see him go in January.
Mid-season with Villa 17th, 1 point off the drop zone, not happening.
No, I don't think so. No. Right, we'll move on from there anyway to Bournemouth. Really, there's not a whole lot of talk about ingoings. After vigorous searching before the show, the only one
we really did.
We really tried. A player named Tony, a midfielder from Peterborough. His surname is Tony, Toney, is linked with a move into Bournemouth, but surely that would just be as a rotational squad player. They don't have the funds to bring in anybody, and that's probably what's going to sink them. I
worry for Bournemouth.
They're 18th, and they have been slipping and sliding all season.
Yeah, I think that Callum Wilson and Josh King haven't been scoring goals recently. They've been playing Josh King on the left, and while he's good enough to play there, they're arguably their best goal threat, so playing him up front.
Yeah.
They just don't look great.
They couldn't get that Ryan Fraser contract issue sorted over the summer,
and that's hampered them, hasn't it?
They've been desperately unlucky with injuries through the year as well, and I don't think it helps them that Nathan Ake looks like he's on his way back to Chelsea.
Oh no, of course not. But whereas Jack Grealish is obviously an Aston Villa man through and through, I don't think that Nathan Ake owes Bournemouth too much other than paying him.
Then putting in a shift as long as he's there.
Yeah, he's what if the right big. To be fair to Bournemouth, they'd be foolish to sell him mid-season in a relegation battle.
Where do Bournemouth need to strengthen, or is the overall quality of the squad? Because I mean, they've been a mid-table team for the last few years, and they haven't looked like they've been in any trouble.
I'd say they might need to strengthen their manager.
The same manager that was being linked with Arsenal last month.
Like I said, I would have been.
You said he was good enough for the Everton job last month.
Yeah, but they've kind of been meandering in mid-table mediocrity for years. I did say,
but they are the smallest club in the Premier League.
I didn't say that he was good enough. I said that's the sort of job he should be looking for.
Fair enough.
I've never spoken out confidently and on good terms about Eddie Howe's managerial skills. I don't think that he's that great.
Look, he's kept up Bournemouth for the last 5 years, and they are the smallest club in the Premier League in terms of attendances, in terms of budget, in terms of exposure around the world, in terms of population in the surrounding area. They are the smallest club in the Premier League.
Maybe that's a bit harsh. Maybe other teams with bigger budgets. You think of the likes of Villa, who spent over £100 million, have come back into the big support.
Yeah.
Parachute payments that they've received have come back into the Premier League. They've They've invested. They're ahead of them. If you look at the team, the surprising thing is that like Sheffield United have come in and done so well. You'd expect them to be like Bournemouth would have expected to be, but you can't be banking on other teams.
No,
to be
you
below
can't.
you.
And they've
not been good enough.
They've not strengthened.
And
themselves and Burnley have rested the laurels a little bit too much.
But I would say about Bournemouth, they spent £20 million on Dominic Solanke. What a waste of money for someone who'd never. He played what, one competitive game for Liverpool?
I think he had
one for Chelsea.
One competitive goal going into
that is on whoever is in charge of transfers in that club. He
hasn't
scored all season.
He did score over the weekend
in the FA Cup.
Yeah, I think they scored 4-1.
He's not scored in the league.
Yeah,
no, and he's not like. What's he going to get?
If you
One or
look
two
at
goals all season.
The disappointing thing for any Bournemouth fan must be seeing Mousse thrive at Sheffield United.
Yeah, big time.
They let him go for absolutely next
big
to
time.
nothing.
But I think you could say that that's on the coach. That's on both coaches. Chris Wilder is doing an incredible job. He has to be on the shortlist for if he keeps Sheffield United in 7th, 8th, 9th, he should be on the shortlist for Manager of the Year because that is a superb effort.
Is the Bournemouth situation very similar to what happened at Spurs, where they had the same manager, a good, young, forward-thinking, progressive manager there for a few years, wasn't given a chance to buy players to kind of, freshen up the squad?
But he was.
Was he? Man, Bournemouth do not have a budget.
But he spent £20 million on Dominic Solanke, £15 million on Jordan Hall. I'm sorry, he spent his money on the wrong players.
He did. He absolutely blew.
He burned his bridges. I wouldn't compare him to Pochettino. I think Pochettino went 3 or 4 transfer windows in a row without being able to, without funds being released.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Right. Let's go from a club not doing things the right way to a club that definitely are doing things the right way. Brighton and Hove Albion have surprised a few people this year. They're not too far away from the drop zone, but I think the football that they've played throughout the season and the results that they've been getting quite consistently I wouldn't think that they're favourites to go down. I don't think that they're likely to go down, even though they're sitting behind the likes of Newcastle, Southampton and Everton. Well, Newcastle and Southampton, I think, would be more likely to go down than Brighton. And they are linked with the Russian striker, Fyodor Shalov.
Yeah.
Joe, do you know anything about him?
I know he plays for CSKA in Moscow. He's not first choice for Russia because Artem Dzyuba is a big man-mountain centre forward.
Yeah.
I think he might also play for CSKA Moscow, but I'm not 100% sure. Starts ahead of him. But from what I've read about him, and I know a little about Russian football, is that he's quite a decent forward and would probably be able to cut it in the Premier League. Whether they need him is another thing because they've been scoring quite a few goals.
They have.
Mopé has been doing very, very well for them, as I mentioned earlier on.
They've got young Aaron Connolly. I know he plays out wide, but he can play through the middle as well.
He was unlucky not to score on the weekend. Actually, he had a great turn and what was the? It was the Chelsea game. Yeah, he had a great turn and shot, which Kepa actually kept out pretty well. And then Jahanbakhsh has just scored a couple of goals recently. Which is that
absolute screamer.
Oh, that's unbelievable. I love that. I love that goal.
The only Iranian in the Premier League, Joe. He's been the subject of a fair few memes on Twitter.
Yeah,
as you can imagine.
Of course.
Glenn Murray leaving, or at least touted with a move out.
If they're going to let him leave, then they probably do need to bring in a striker. And it's interesting that they're looking to bring in someone like Chalov, who's not a
target man.
Exactly. Yeah. He's another slightly bigger than Mopé, I think, but a diminutive striker, quick.
Right. We'll talk about a team in kind of a similar position to Bournemouth. They are how many? 4 points ahead of Bournemouth. Burnley, Joe. They haven't. I can't remember the last time they signed a player.
I think I sent a text to you the other day saying that I would put money on both of them go down. I think they both might be sunken ships. Again, managers who've been there a long time. Unlike Eddie Howe at Bournemouth, who has been given funds, like you said, I can't remember. I remember the last time I remember them signing a player was Chris Wood. Was that 2 seasons ago now? They just. I don't know if money is. I don't think there's too much money available, but there has to be some because they play in the Premier League and they have sponsorship deals. But again, they when they were doing all right, they were relying on a very steady defense, the likes of Tarkovsky and me, and I don't think that their defense has been quite what it was. And,
no,
they're kind of relying on Chris Wood to head them a goal every now and again to nick a draw.
I would back the resilience of that Burnley team to stay up. I don't think that they're going to go down, but I think they're going to find themselves in real trouble. I mean, this is a team that finished 6th 2 years ago.
7th, but yeah.
7th, and they're going to find themselves in real
No,
trouble. What does it say about Danny Drinkwater that he's being allowed to go back to Chelsea? That his loan deal is expiring, having barely kicked a ball.
I think it's a disgrace that he's not putting enough work in to get in the Burnley team.
Here's a question: would he be a better footballer if his name is Drink Guinness?
Yes, of course. And every viewer should say the same thing. It's Monday night and we're on the Guinness.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When's that sponsorship coming in? Any day
now. At Diageo, we're waiting. They're linked with a couple of players coming in. Championship midfielders Brownhill and Pearson.
Don't think it'll be enough.
Again, I don't think that they are going to be one of the worst 3 teams, but I think they're going to be in and around it. And I don't know, by not going out and looking for some real talent. And look, I know January's a hard time to do business, but I don't think they anticipated being in this position right now. And I don't know if they were to go down, if they would be likely to bounce back up next year. They've already done that under Dyche. They've already gone down and come back up.
It reminds me of Charlton Athletic a bit, actually, man, who did that bounce back under Kerbishley after the 99 season, getting promoted and getting 98, 99. They were in the Premier League, got relegated, kept with Kerbishley and stayed up for about 6 years, but they never really spent too much money. They were always okay, and when shit hit the fan, it just went from bad to worse. And yeah, I think that every kind of mid-table, mediocre small club who makes it into the Premier League, and fair play to them for doing so, I think they all have a lifespan. They're kind of on rotation. There can be no expectation.
I'm going to argue with you now. Everton have been there since the 50s.
No, Everton were winning the league in the 1980s.
Man, they were the best.
Everton
They were dominating in the early 80s.
Stadium.
Yeah, no,
Everton spent.
Yeah, man, they're a mid-table.
They are a mid-table club.
They got hobbled up by Liverpool reserves last night.
I was saying that they are not a small club who get promoted.
It's exactly.
No, it's not. It's Liverpool agenda. As a Liverpool fan, we were talking in the car earlier about some Liverpool fans who support. Some Liverpudlians who support both teams.
Yeah.
But I guess not being from Liverpool, that's...
Do you know what? I've seen loads of things going around Twitter. Obviously the FA Cup draw is on this evening. Maybe we might even get reaction to that by the end of the show. I'm not sure what time it's at. We'll need to check that. But people were wondering, who would you like to get in the next round? I'd love to get Tranmere Rovers. Go from Merseyside Derby to Merseyside Derby. That'd be fantastic.
We know a Tranmere Rovers fan.
We do, actually. Andy, good old Andy, yeah. Right, we'll move on. Who's next? Chelsea. Linked with some big names, Thibaut Werner, Jadon Sancho, and then notable likely signatures this month are Nathan Ake and Moussa Dembele from Lyon. They've actually been linked with most strongly as a striker. Do they need another striker?
Yes, because I think that both Giroud and Batshuayi aren't good enough and need to be sold if they really have ambitions. Werner would be an incredible signing. Originally, when I was thinking it, I was like, what does that do to Abraham? But if you have two elite, not that Abraham
two top strikers fighting
two top strikers, that...
I mean, Abraham is young. It is his first full season in the Premier League.
Yeah,
he will need to be rested and tested at the same time.
They have a lot of games. Yeah.
But he's also just been given the number 9 shirt. You have it. You play striker every week.
Yeah.
You do need that competition.
Of course you do. And I think actually to be fair to Abraham, it helps Chelsea having that transfer ban. Because I don't think that he would have been given the number 9 shirt and the responsibility of leading the line week in, week out if they hadn't.
I don't think so either.
I also think that's the only reason why Batshuayi and Giroud are still in the club. But yeah, no, if they could get either of those to win, they're both quite similar actually. They're both under 6 foot, Werner and Dembele. They're both quick.
I think Werner's a bit quicker, and Dembele's a little bit more prolific.
Yeah, but I know not this season. Werner's bagging goals in this
actually. But are RB Leipzig going to let Werner go? No,
again,
he's not got a lot of time left on his contract, but mid-season I don't think so.
This is the thing about RB Leipzig. Like they do have, like with Upamecano, they have players who are running down their contracts, and like I think that you might have said to me a lot of the time that Arsenal aren't why would an Ndidi go from Leicester to Arsenal? Why would Upamecano go from Leipzig to Arsenal, top of the Bundesliga in the Champions League? Because Arsenal are Arsenal, and it's the same for Chelsea. Even though I don't think they're as big as Arsenal, they have been much more successful in recent years.
For players under the age of 30 that are...
Chelsea are an elite club. There's no doubt about that. And it's a no-brainer for me. If I'm at RB Leipzig, I'd prefer to go to a Chelsea than stay there. No matter who's challenging for the league title that year or not.
Definitely. You spoke about Batshuayi, and we've mentioned Giroud already. Could be on their way out. Giroud's linked with a handful of Premier League clubs. He's linked with who do we say? Aston Villa, Newcastle, and Palace. Whereas Batshuayi is linked with.
He's just linked with Palace.
Just Palace.
Yeah, that's the only one that I've seen. Yeah,
I think he'd be a good fit for them.
He would. So would Giroud. Maybe Batshuayi a bit more but I think Giroud is a better player than Batshuayi. And if it's just it's a question of if they want a long-term signing or a short-term signing.
Would they win the lottery by getting rid of both of them and bringing in a top striker?
Yes. Yeah, I think that they should probably pursue that. I don't think you need three. I don't think they need three strikers.
I think they've also got enough forward players that they can do a job and come in and cover for injuries.
Yeah, if they needed to spend the last 20 minutes of a game playing Callum Hudson-Odoi through the middle,
or Mason Mount as a false nine.
Yeah, they could do that with the game in the bag. They could. Do
Willian
that.
As a striker. Willian can play as a striker.
I wouldn't put it.
You wouldn't do it every week.
But like I said, if they needed to play the last 10, 20, 15, 20 minutes of the game with the auxiliary striker.
Pulisic actually played as a striker for Dortmund for a little bit, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah.
He's actually, after doing my Pulisic video, he's fallen off a little bit.
But he's only young.
He is. But I had big hopes for him. Not that I want Chelsea to do especially well, but I did think he was going to do a bit better than he has done since.
We've spoken about Crystal Palace looking to sign both Batshuayi and Giroud, or Batshuayi or Giroud, possibly to replace the outgoing Wilfried Zaha?
I don't think so. I think that Benteke has just been terrible.
But no one's going to buy him. He's not going anywhere.
He's on big money, but the thing is, if they have that money available and if they're able to bring in a forward who's going to be more prolific than him, which I'd say there's a fair chance both of those would be, then why not go out and do it? If it's a 6-month loan deal.
Yeah. Did Benteke sign a new deal this year?
Did he?
I think he signed a 1-year contract extension this year, early on in the season.
That's crazy.
Just because they didn't want to lose him. They were just
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, he's there till the end of next year.
Yeah, no, with Zaha, I think that it's only a matter of time before he goes. I don't think he'd sign a new contract.
Yeah.
I don't think he would. Even if he ran it down and went to a kind of Europa League level club abroad or in the UK, I think that's what he'd do. I can't see him signing a new deal with Palace.
No. Right, we'll move to Everton, and it looks likely that Gylfi Sigurdsson could be on his way out this month. He was anonymous in the Merseyside derby last night.
He's not been great all season, and there are high standards that have been set over the past few years from him.
Oh, they're going to say from Everton for a minute.
Don't worry. I agree that Everton are shit. No, from Sigurdsson. Who?
Well, he had that spell at Spurs that didn't really come off for him either.
Yeah, it didn't. But when he first signed for Everton, he was good. And last year, he was good.
Where is he linked with?
That's the thing. We were looking before, and there's no concrete links. But the only thing is that Everton want rid. He's obviously on 6 figures a week, right? 100 grand, 120 grand a week.
I don't know. Is he at Everton? I don't know if Everton pay 100 grand a week, do they?
Man, Theo Walcott's on 100 grand a week.
God help Everton.
Because he was on 100. He was on 100 grand a week at Arsenal, so he wouldn't have moved without.
Fair. Yeah, man, he must be, considering he came from Spurs as well. Yeah,
of course he is.
You can understand why they want to get rid of him, and if they can get rid of him, they're obviously looking to bring in Gedson Fernandez. Gedson.
I think it's Gedson.
Gedson Fernandez.
They pronounce the J. It's not Jose Mourinho in Portugal. It's Jose.
It's a G though.
It's a Jose Mourinho. But for the hard G, it's a G. Gedson Fernandez.
Gedson Fernandez. Themselves and West Ham are linked.
But then it's Gilberto Silva. I don't know the phonetics of Portuguese, but yeah.
Have you seen any of them at all? He's come from Benfica.
No, I haven't. I do have a friend who supports Benfica, but
we should have got him on the show.
We should have, yeah.
Yeah, he's linked with Everton and West Ham. I think West Ham are favourites to sign him at the minute, but you kind of wonder if Everton and West Ham were in for you. Like, Are West Ham bigger than Everton? Or
No, Everton are bigger than West Ham.
But you have...
It's the London thing.
It's the London thing, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, David Moyes or Carlo Ancelotti?
It's a no-brainer, and honestly, Everton over West Ham any day. Everton are a great club. We recently have put out a poll, and it's not the only poll that I've seen. I saw another one yesterday or 2 days ago. Everton or Spurs, and again, Everton were winning by about 30%. So
It's be interesting to see Everton or West Ham actually, because West Ham have a big stadium as well. They've got a big fan base. They've got a history behind them.
Yeah, I reckon that's a poll to put out.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted on that for next week, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he could be exciting if they get him in, but there's not a whole lot that seems to be happening at Everton, which is interesting considering Carlo Ancelotti's just come in and you would have expected to be promised some money. But I'd imagine with Everton, because they've spent so much money over the last few years, that they've got to sell to buy.
Yeah, that's probably why Sigurdsson is linked with the move away.
I'm sure that
they can't bring in. Another centre.
He's probably been given a bit of a free pass this season and just been told we're going to try to clear out 2 or 3 in January and 2 or 3 over the summer. And then hopefully that'll free up money for you to spend. Any money that can be made can be spent in the summer, and we'll give you a bit more. But I mean, what would be the point in Everton overpaying for players in January now? Like, look, they're not going to go down.
No,
they're not going to finish top 4. They're not going to finish top 7 or 8.
It's all about building an identity.
They're not in the FA Cup anymore. You know, they've got them. They're not. Are they in the League Cup still? No,
I don't think so. It's all about building an identity and planning for next season.
Yeah. So I mean, they're in no rush to get anything done right now. It's just about letting the manager settle in and coach the players that are there. So relatively quiet for Everton. Leicester, you'd imagine, will be fairly quiet as well. Normally teams that are in a decent position don't do a whole lot of business in January. Obviously people will be coming in looking to poach some of their players because they're doing so well, but it's one of those times where you kind of ask yourself what's more important, winning football games and playing at a high level, or moving to a quote unquote big club. And like, I mean, Soyuncu is linked with Manchester City. Maddison is linked with Manchester United.
I think for Soyuncu, if he's to be fair to United, well, certainly for Soyuncu.
Leicester are second in the Premier League.
I know they are, and I think they're a very attractive club to play for. However, if Pep Guardiola comes calling for Soyuncu, and if they have a bid accepted, I reckon that.
Well, Pep Guardiola's going to leave in the summer.
No, but Manchester City are a much bigger club than Leicester at the moment, because of the money that was rewind 10 years and it wasn't exactly the case. They'd probably be neck and neck.
Yeah.
But just with the infrastructure they have, I don't think with Leicester that these sort of performances can be guaranteed. I think that we saw that when they won the league. I know that they do have a great team in place, but I don't think they can expect to finish 2nd or 3rd this year and go and do it again next year. I think
I am posing the question more as a rhetoric, just to generate a conversation more than I like. Of course, you can understand why Soyuncu, if he was told he would be playing first team football for Manchester City, would want to go.
Of course he would. And
James Maddison, on the other hand, with Manchester United,
I just don't think that that's the best place for him to continue his development. And
the place is fucking toxic, man.
It is.
Sorry for the language, but it is toxic.
You have the whole Paul Pogba situation, and I don't want to be. We're not going to be like the pundits on mainstream television who bring up Pogba to slag him off every week, but the fact that he's being talked about every week, it can't be good for the club. But the
thing about Pogba is that nobody talks about the football anymore.
Yeah,
it's all what he does off the pitch.
It's all about his.
It's not even about haircuts anymore. All you hear about Pogba is that he went to his brother's wedding.
Yeah,
that his girlfriend put up a selfie of him on New Year's Eve sleeping.
Like, there was something that he posted a picture of him reading the Quran because he's a Muslim, and he said it's the best. Yeah, he is a Muslim. Yeah, he said it's the best way to bring in the new year. And United's fans and legends went mental at that, saying the best way to bring in the year will be being available for the squad. We're both not exactly fans of religion, and that's not something we want to talk about on this podcast. But you have to respect every man's faith, and if someone is devout and thinks that's the best way for him to be bringing in the new year, then respect. And he's injured right now. Right?
He is injured. And look, his own medical staff and the club's
going through a tough time. Yeah, let's not forget that.
Apparently, he played through a couple of injuries in the last month to show he was committed to the cause. And I don't think that he is on the way out this month. Like, his agents come out and said that he would need to play in a better structured football club, ideally somewhere more like Juventus, which just sounds more like he's just trying to drum up another transfer back or whatever, Yeah. But to be honest, I think Pogba has been United's best player when he's been fit and available. And I don't think that on the pitch he's really gone missing that much. He's done what he can do.
The thing is that the whole setup around him is awful. And
It's shocking.
it's been awful since Sir Alex Ferguson left as well. Like, this is the club who went from being a guaranteed under Alex Ferguson in the Premier League. The lowest they finished was third.
Yeah.
And since then they've had one top 2 finish, and they finished in the top 4 once under Van Gaal. So they've really fallen off. The players they're recruiting have not been good enough for years. The players they're giving new contracts to
Would
have not been good enough.
you do a feature piece on Manchester United this week?
I could potentially do a feature piece on Manchester United, yeah.
Yeah, I think that just to have a look at the demise since Ferguson, because I think that's something that people want to hear. You've heard it here first. Joe's Corner this week is going to be all about Manchester United.
Yeah. Subject close to my heart.
Close to your fart. Right. Yeah. So Grealish isn't going to go to Manchester United. He loves Villa too much. It's not a good move for James Maddison right now.
No, it's not. Maddison is playing some unbelievable football with Leicester. I think that there'll be much better, much more attractive propositions on the table.
United are
this summer
14 points behind Leicester. If Maddison was to make a move up to a big club,
the thing.
well, let's have a look.
United are the biggest club in the UK. The thing about United is that, as Mine Areola said correctly, the whole place is toxic.
Yeah.
From top to bottom, the way that the owners are going about their business, the manager they have right now is completely inept. The squad they have is shocking. The players are being tied down to new long-term contracts. You think of Ashley Young. Why were Ashley Young and Juan Mata given new contracts? It's utterly insane.
Well, like Ashley Young is the captain.
He's the club captain, but like, what's he done over the last few years to merit?
Look, you're going to talk about United. You've got lots to say.
No, I'm just saying. I think it's the wrong move for.
It's not a good one for Maddison right now. If you look at some of the other clubs, maybe above them, he wouldn't get into Liverpool's team. As good as he is, they're just too settled. They've got too many midfielders.
I think the way that they play, they don't necessarily need.
It wouldn't be a good move for him. Leicester themselves are second. City, he's not going to get into the City team right now.
David Silva is.
But they've got Phil Foden tipped there, and you'd piss off a whole lot of people by bringing him in ahead of Foden.
You would.
And they've also still got the likes of Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan.
He's going to be rotated in and out, so maybe it's not the best for his development as much as Pep Guardiola's there. He could. Chelsea, they've got Mason Mount doing a very similar job, and as we spoke about on the show, maybe it's not. Maybe Chelsea don't need more attacking midfielders right now.
Yeah, no, I think they need defenders. But
they need defenders, yeah.
That's
so,
why.
If you were to look at a big move for James Maddison, the obvious one would be Manchester United, possibly Arsenal, but they've still got Mesut Ozil there for the next couple of years, and Arteta says he's going to build a team around him, and you can't really play Maddison and Ozil in the same team. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can find a way to do it.
No, it'd be tough.
It will be tough. So maybe that is the one that he might do in the summer, but until they sort their shit out, I really don't think that's a great move for him, especially considering how well he's doing under Brendan Rodgers right now.
Yeah.
And how well Leicester are
doing. I mean, speaking of Brendan Rodgers, you can't compare him and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Absolutely not. So long as Solskjaer's at that club, they've got no pulling power.
No, they don't.
Right, sorry, we'll move on because we're 37 minutes in and we're only halfway through. Liverpool, they've already brought in Minamino. They don't look like they're going to bring in anybody else.
And I think it'd be foolish to bring in anyone else. They have the
squad is incredibly settled.
Very
they've got cover
squad,
really across. Unless they were to bring in a left back, they've got a couple of good right backs coming through that played. Hoover played well against Arsenal. They had what was his name last night? Played right back. It wasn't Williams. Yeah, it was Williams. Played right back, and he did quite well last night. They even had Larouci actually played left back last night, and he's another young guy that looks okay. The fans were quite happy with him. I don't think they really need to sign anybody. James Milner signed a contract extension. He's not going anywhere.
Just 1 year, is it?
2 years actually.
2 years, yeah.
Adam Lallana looks like he's set to go for free in the summer.
Yeah,
he's going to hang around and collect that winners medal. He's not going anywhere.
There might be another couple of winners medals coming his way.
I think so. Yeah. Gini Wijnaldum is the only first team player that has only got 18 months left on his contract. He's the only one not rumored to be signing a new one anytime soon. He's the only one whose future could be up for any speculation. But again, why would you go anywhere right now if you're a member of that Liverpool first team? When you're flying high at the top of the Premier League, you know there's a winners medal coming your way. To
be honest,
you're challenging in the Champions League.
If I was to look across Europe right now, I think that they're the best club. I think that if I was lucky enough to be a professional footballer and big clubs wanted me, that would be the club I'd be pushing my.
Definitely. Speaking of players linked with moves to Liverpool, Adama Traore. Now, I don't think
Yeah.
that it's going to happen. I don't think Liverpool are going to fork out 70 million for him. City are interested in him as well, and obviously there is a chance that they could be losing Leroy Sané. He's been out for most of this season. They do want cover on the wing. Are they nuts enough to spend 70 million pounds on Adama Traore?
No, they're not. Sean and I discussed Adama Traore a bit last week, and he's just one of those players who strikes the fear of God into defenders because he's so powerful, he's so quick, he's so unpredictable. But he'd be a nice.
Is there not a reason that Barcelona let him go?
Yeah, there is, and there's a reason that he's playing.
Because his
end
end product
product
isn't great.
It's not. Although he has scored a couple of goals this year.
Yeah, he scored a couple of goals this year.
For a wide forward, you should be scoring 10, 15. You know, you really should be. No, he's not that great. And if his physical attributes ever decline, then you don't really have much to work
I
with.
don't think his physical attributes are declining for 20 years, man.
Have you heard that he claims that he doesn't do weights? I saw a picture
That
of
was
him.
like Mika Richards, man. You're claiming every
and
weight.
George Kobe.
Yeah.
But I saw a picture of, I mean, it could be true, but it's insane.
I'm always there having.
I have to work very hard in the gym to get anywhere near that.
You've never been anywhere near that.
I've never, no, but like to get, and I said to get anywhere near that, like to build up. Also massive.
So they're not going to blow 70 million
No,
pounds
they're
on
not.
Adama Traore.
No.
Sané is very unlikely to go anywhere this month because he's still not fit. He wouldn't pass a medical anywhere.
His contract is until 21, right?
Yeah, well,
So
there's
he's another 12
18
months.
months left on his deal. If he was going to go, he most likely go in the summer.
Yeah.
Do Bayern Munich need him still, considering how well their wingers are doing?
Yeah, I think he's better than Coman. And they like German players. So
Yeah, they do.
Him and Gnabry.
And they had the three of them to rotate between the two wings.
Yeah.
It would make sense to still go after him. Sionchu, we spoke a little bit about Leicester there. Do they need it? They do need another centre half, don't they?
Well,
Pep has come out and said they're not going to sign anyone, but you said that they've had a big.
Manchester City. I think it's been the biggest mistake and the reason why they are not where they were before, along with Liverpool's continued form, is that they didn't sign a centre back.
They've allegedly had a £30 million bid bump back and said that they need to spend closer to 60.
On Sionchu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After Pep said they're not going to sign anyone. Are they actively looking to sign a centre half? Do they
Well,
actively need to now that Laporte is back?
Yes, because
If they need to sign any centre half in Europe, would Sionchu be the one they wanted? Because
yes.
would he, rather than Upamenko or Koulibaly?
Yeah, jeez, if they got Koulibaly, that'd be great.
But if you look at what Liverpool did a couple of years ago, they went out. They identified where they need to buy players. They identified the best player they could find, and they paid top dollar for him. If City were to go out now and identify the best centre back to come into their team, and they're going to spend £60 million plus for him, would it be Sionchu?
Well, the best is Koulibaly. It would be available.
Is that not where they need to put their money?
When have they ever done that? When have they ever spent tons and tons and tons of money? They spend a lot, like we've talked about before, but they don't spend that crazy 70, 80 million.
Yeah.
I don't think Koulibaly would cost over 100 anymore. I think he might be able to get him for 60.
So, if it's a choice between Sionchu and Koulibaly for 60 million, would they not wait till the summer and go after Koulibaly?
No, because they need him now.
But then you can't get Koulibaly in the summer.
No, they could get Koulibaly. They could go for Koulibaly now. I don't think that they will, but
they won't get Koulibaly now because Napoli are still in Europe.
No,
they're not.
They could get Koulibaly now. Napoli are in the Europa League now.
Yeah, they are.
They could get Koulibaly now easily.
Well, why don't they go and do that then?
Well, they should do that. I to answer your answer to me earlier.
Sorry,
if they were better than the current centre backs they have, the only very good centre back they have is Laporte.
World class. Let's use that. The only world class.
John Stones.
Because John Stones is very good.
He is good. Otamendi, I think, is pretty trash. There's no two ways about it. I don't think that he'd be getting in too many top clubs first 11s.
Probably get an Arsenal's first 11.
I wouldn't have him in our first 11. I definitely have Stones. I would not have Otamendi. No.
You wouldn't have Otamendi ahead of Mustafi?
Mustafi doesn't even get in the squad, man. I'd be ahead of Louise or Chambers or Socrates, and I really wouldn't.
Alright, fair.
I'd probably class
he's in that same group as Socrates and Louise, is he?
Yeah.
He wouldn't be an upgrade anyway.
No, certainly not. Not.
Okay.
Jesus, if Arsenal were linked with him, I'd be very disappointed.
If City can't get Koulibaly this winter, but they could get him in the summer, should they wait? considering what they've got left to play for this season.
They've
got Real Madrid in the Champions League, and if they don't go through, they've got the FA Cup.
Yeah, you know, there's always hope in the league, but that's all that there is.
Really,
Liverpool would have to do something crazy.
Joe, there's a 14-point gap, and Liverpool have a game in hand.
Yeah, I've said it before that they probably have it wrapped up, but you know yourself being a Liverpool fan that
if I read a brilliant stat this week that if Liverpool were to go, if the league was to continue picking up points as it is right now, Liverpool would have the league wrapped up by the 19th of March.
I know.
A month earlier.
I can't see anything.
Any other Premier League
I can't see anything else, and I was just playing devil's advocate there.
Yeah.
But
so they're not playing for the league.
But with City, like Koulibaly is getting on. He's 28 now, I think. I think now would be the time to go out for a player like him.
Fair enough.
I don't think they should wait.
Okay, we'll move across Manchester. We've spoken about James Maddison.
We've done United, apart from the last three players.
Yeah, well, Fernandes, the other Fernandes, this is Bruno Fernandes we're talking about.
Keeps getting linked with United, the Sporting Lisbon captain.
Yes. Did he move over the summer?
No, he stayed. Yes. Like, United clearly are lacking quality in midfield.
Clearly. What was the midfield we started with last week?
It was Fred, Matic, and Pereira. No, against Arsenal, it was Fred, Matic, and Jesse Lingard. Their midfield options. Solskjaer was talking such bullshit the other day. Although I think he might believe it about how he has decent midfield options. You know, he can drop Pereira back in there now that they have injuries. They can play Timothy Fonsu-Mensah. Oh, Jesus Christ, like, they're a mess, especially in midfield, and yeah, they need upgrades there badly.
Right, they're linked with a couple of Wolves players, Jimenez and Neves, but again, they're not going in January, are they? With everything Wolves are doing right now.
No, they're not, but again, if Manchester United came calling, it'd be hard for them personally to turn it down.
Where would that leave Wolves if they were to lose Ruben Neves? Or Jimenez?
Their best striker and best central midfielder, so it would leave them very short, and they'd have to pay crazy money for both. And Jimenez is 28. I don't think Jimenez is.
Wolves would demand a huge fee anyway, let alone for Manchester United, who would get the Manchester United tax.
Yeah.
Like you'd be talking about fees of close to £50 million for either of those players.
I would say upwards of that.
That are not worth that kind of money.
No, they're not. It's just it'd be silly. It'd be futile.
I really don't see Manchester United going out and spending £50 million on Ruben Neves.
I think Manchester United need to look at the European market, because in the Premier League they're just going to be getting quoted like £100 million for Maddison is what I've read that they would demand for him.
They've got a 50 million plus for Sean Longstaff.
After that,
we'll move straight into Newcastle. We'll talk about Sean Longstaff.
That's it. But after they spent that on Harry Maguire, and after everyone knows how much money they can't shop in England anymore.
They spent the same amount of money on Harry Maguire as is the bounty on Donald Trump's head.
I know.
Oh, politics.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, but.
So, Longstaff for £50 million, Newcastle would wet themselves laughing, wouldn't they?
Yeah, he doesn't even start every game.
Yeah. Newcastle are also linked with Olivier Giroud.
He would be a serious upgrade on Joe Linton, who is pants.
I think either of us would be a serious upgrade on Joe Linton. Newcastle are another side that are linked with Jared Bowen. This mystery whole midfielder who's apparently
the
championship.
We need to watch the championship.
They're linked with Polish striker Piatek.
Yeah, Krzysztof Piatek plays for AC Milan. Did very well. He joined in January of last season and scored 1 and 2, 9 and 18. This year he's got 4 and 18. Not too sure if he's all that. I think that could go the same way as Joe Linton if they brought him in. And
they are also linked with Alfredo Morelos. So apparently they get a bit bounce back.
He scores a lot of goals and gets a lot of red cards, so he'd probably fit in very well at St James's Park.
I think he'd be an upgrade on their strikers, but apparently there are some issues off the field between Mike Ashley and the Rangers owners. Apparently they've had some beef down the years in terms of business deals gone sour and stuff, and they'd be incredibly unlikely to do any sort of business with Ashley.
Wasn't Ashley going to buy Rangers at some stage?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
But Ashley was going to sell Newcastle at one stage as well.
Yeah. He's been trying to do that for almost since he took
over. We'll talk a little bit about Norwich, and we'll talk a little bit about their right back, Aarons.
Yeah, he's a man in demand, isn't he? Both Nottingham clubs are linked with him.
Despite Spurs already having 2 first team right backs.
They do. And if you call into Maitland-Niles a right back, so do Arsenal. I've actually been very impressed with him recently.
Maitland-Niles or Aarons?
Maitland-Niles. under Arteta. Bellerin, I think, has a lot of work to do before he gets back.
He's struggled a lot with fitness though, hasn't he, Bellerin?
Yeah, he has, and he did his ACL, so you have to be patient. But Max Aarons, I think, is a good player, and he certainly gets up and down the right flank. And he's one of Norwich's more exciting players. Whether he's good enough to play for the top 6 club is another thing.
What is it? The fee link is about £30 million, is it?
Yeah, around that kind of standard for a young English player these days. A young English player in form.
Now the thing about Norwich is that, as much again as we tried searching, they're not linked with a single incoming player.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to sign anybody. They've got 14 points from 20 games in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Are they resigned to the fact that they're going down?
Yeah.
They're not going to waste any money. They're going to plan for next season. It's all about life in the Championship for them. Is it? Anything they pick up now is a bonus.
Yeah, if they were just by some miracle stay up, it would be huge.
They have been plagued by injuries this year, Norwich.
Yeah, they have. They're also they're their own worst enemy, because they continue with this style of play. The amount of chances Norwich miss is insane.
Do you know who they remind me of? Do you remember when Ian Holloway brought Blackpool up to the Premier League?
Exactly like that, yeah.
They play nice football. I know Blackpool were a bit more of a possession team and Norwich are a bit more of a counter-press team. But it's appealing on the eye. They create chances, but they just don't have the quality.
There's no substance to it, is there?
Yeah.
Like if you're bottom of the if they collect 28 points less by the end of the season, that'll be a shocking return.
What are they on course for? We're
over
halfway
halfway
through the season.
So they're on course for about 25.
It's awful.
It is. It's terrible.
They're not good enough.
No, they're not good enough. And but I think that there's enough there for them to work on in the Championship to come back, and I think that they should probably stick with.
I think Pookie won't be there next year, and Cantwell won't be there
Pookie
next
will be
year.
there. Pookie's.
There's no way Cantwell will be there next year. Cantwell will be picked up by Premier League.
And Everton might go in for him.
And you love using Everton. Actually, do you know what? He would be a good signing for Everton right now. And if they came in with the right amount of money, I'm sure that Norwich would let him go, because Norwich, like we said, are already preparing for life in the Championship. If Everton are genuinely looking for a good attacking midfielder, someone to replace Gylfi Sigurdsson, you know that I'm a big Cantwell fan.
I know you're a huge Cantwell fan.
I think that he'd be the man for someone to get in, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a shock move for him by one of the Premier League clubs this month. I reckon they could get him on a fairly decent price as well.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely someone, I think I said on the show, that any club would want kind of coming through their ranks. So, yeah.
Rafe has a hard on for Todd Cantwell.
Massively. I'm going to follow him on Twitter later, man.
He wants to go surfing with
him. We'll move to Sheffield United. They are not really linked with anyone coming in. There's a couple of championship defenders. Who have we got here? Dara Lenihan and
sounds very Irish.
Joe Wornall from Nottingham Forest. Couple of championship defenders. Is that the level that Sheffield United are at? A couple of squad players from the Championship. They can't really spend big money to bring anyone else in.
They don't really need to, I don't think.
No.
They've been doing
not this season
very well.
If they want to hang around in the Premier League long term, they will need to sign and strengthen.
Of course, but that can be for
that's summer business. That's proper business. They're a well-run football club, and they don't need to do business in January. Nobody's come in looking for any of their players because they haven't had any standout players really. We spoke a little bit about Lille Mousset, who's had a good season, but he's only had half a season in the Premier League. No one's going to come in and take him straight away. John Lundstrom has had a good season. No one's going to come in and grab him at this stage. No one's in debt. John Lundstrom wouldn't be a bad signing for Manchester United.
I don't know if he's quite what they... Isn't he a right winger?
He's a central midfielder that gets up. Like, the way that they play, though, it's very difficult.
He's a defender on fantasy football.
He is, but it's impossible to judge what position a Sheffield United player plays because they all play all over the park. Their centre backs overlap and come through the middle.
Yeah.
Their centre midfielders move out wide. Their wingers come in. Their strikers drift wide. It's a very fluid formation that they kind of roll in circles all through the pitch. He does appear on team sheets as a central midfielder. But that's not to say he doesn't play as a wide right player through most of the game.
I don't think they need a right player for Manchester United.
The Sheffield United have got their house in order. There's no reason for them to go after to get involved in January bidding wars. Southampton, another team linked with Jared Bowen from Hull. He's really the only player that they seem to be massively linked with.
If they don't... I think Southampton could be in trouble come the end of the season again. I don't know if they'll get relegated, but I don't think they'll finish.
But they're going to do what Southampton have been doing Man, they're up to 25 points. They've been in good form recently. They've actually been in really good form recently. Danny Ings has been banging goals. I'm sure he'll get a move in the summer.
I just think that, like, by what I was saying, I think they might have another blip before they get safe.
They will, but they won't be one of the worst 3 teams.
No.
I think that if they were worried about going down, they would have sacked Hasenhüttl and they would have invested big in the window. But because he's turned it around, they've got the faith in him, and they'll be okay. They'll get away with it again for another season, not investing. But I think they might have learned from the scare they had this time around. They might invest a little bit over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that the Danny Ings signing over the summer was money well spent. Was it £25 million?
Was it not last summer that they did it?
It was the summer gone. He was a Liverpool player last season.
Was he?
Yeah.
He only just signed for them. I think it started the year before.
No, I think it was over the summer.
I think it was the year before. We might have to double check.
We might have to.
But no. It is. He has been performing very well for them. There's no denying that. Definitely. For Christ's sake, he scored 13 Premier League goals already.
He wasn't a Liverpool player. I think he moved in January last year. He moved this time last year.
Right. There's nothing going there. I think it might have been a summer signing anyway.
Yeah.
No, fair play. Danny Ings is scoring very, very, very good goals as well. His goal against Spurs was fantastic.
Is he better than Harry Kane?
Overall, no.
Should he start for England?
No.
Who should start for England?
Jamie Vardy, but he's retired.
So, of the available players, who should start for England in the Euros?
Tammy Abraham.
Oh, gross.
No, I would say Harry Kane should still start for
gross.
Who do you think? Danny Ings?
No. Jamie Vardy.
He's retired.
He is. Yeah, man, if Harry Kane's not fit for the Euros, could you see Jamie Vardy coming out of retirement? Because Harry Kane's regularly not fit.
Well, if they gave him a call, if Southgate gave him a call.
Because he did say that under exceptional circumstances, or he would consider
I think,
playing.
he might do it for... Oh, Jesus, he would strike fear into any defence.
He really would, wouldn't he?
He's an unbelievable player.
Yeah, he really would.
He's elite.
We've moved to your mates.
Yeah.
Spurs.
Well,
it's mostly outgoings for them.
It is. Eriksen and Vertonghen. Eriksen linked with Inter Milan. Very boring move. And Vertonghen linked with...
Surely Jose Mourinho is going to sign a centre-half. He always wants to sign a centre-half. He's tied Alderweireld into a new contract, but if Vertonghen is leaving, he's going to want a new centre-half.
I don't think that he has money available.
But I mean, he wouldn't have signed this deal. And
yeah,
look, if he can
he's desperate to come back and manage the football team.
If he was
desperate.
He was gagging for it, wasn't he?
How desperate was he to accept an offer from Spurs? I mean, the £50 million a year helps, but do you know he's tied down until 2023?
I do.
Oh my God.
But again, we've spoken about this. Levy's going to sell the club over the summer.
It's not his to sell, man. He's not the owner. He's the chairman.
The club is allegedly being sold over the summer or in the next year, and the Mourinho move was to boost the profile of the club and to raise the price of shares and stocks and blah 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 blah. If they can sell Eriksen and or Vertonghen, surely that money can be reinvested this window.
How much are they going to get for both of them? Vertonghen is 30 and he's a centre back. I'd say they could get £10 million for him, 15.
Well, they could get more money than that for. Well, I suppose
with 6 months left on his contract.
Well, how much money were you saying that Christian Eriksen was?
I read fucking £45 million, which is insane with 6 months left.
He's got to go for it. Eriksen, 25. Eriksen's a good footballer. He could go to Manchester United. He's been linked with Inter Milan. I don't know what.
To be fair, he'd be a good signing for Manchester United.
He would, and I don't know what United are doing, not going in for him, not buying him.
Comparing him with Jesse Lingard,
fluffing around with.
Do you know what they should do? They should do a swap deal with Spurs for Jesse Lingard.
There was legitimately talk about it. Yeah, Christian Eriksen should move to Manchester United. He's not going to. He's going to move to Inter Milan. They're obviously offering him more money.
Well, they have a lot of money in Inter Milan at the moment.
They're level top of Serie A.
Yeah.
Are they still in the Champions League?
Jeez, I can't remember.
Were they in the Champions League?
Yeah, they were.
Year?
I think they might have came third. I think they were in a group with Borussia Dortmund and Barcelona, and they came third.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So they're in the Europa League.
They won't win that. Arsenal are better than Inter Milan. Arsenal are, without doubt, easy.
Without a doubt, with a huge pinch of salt and bias to go with it.
I would have no issue about playing.
No.
I would fancy my chances. Watford, we have next.
Premier League sides tend to be stronger right now than continental teams.
They are. I think that's a fact.
Yeah,
last three.
Aaron's is linked with Spurs, as we said, but we'll move on to Watford. I suppose really the big news for Watford is that João Pedro is finally eligible. His work permit has come through, and as of January 1st, he's officially a Watford player. Now, he's only a teenage striker, but he'll give some competition to the record signing Sarr for goals. Watford also had an Irish striker bag a hat-trick for them in the FA Cup over the weekend.
Who was that?
I'm trying to think of his name. He had a particularly unusual name for an Irish player. I think he's the son of, I don't know, immigrants from somewhere. Anyway, it's not Seamus. Okay,
No, I get it. I understand.
But it's brilliant to see Irish lads going on and getting goals. I think the third one was a penalty, but the first two goals are meant to be very, very good. I'll need to get his name and we'll put it up on our Twitter later anyway. But they've got a few young strikers. Maybe one of them can take some sort of momentum and help Troy Deeney out, because since he's come back, Watford have looked like a different team.
Yeah, they have maybe, but I think that they probably play it safe and just go with experience. And to be fair, that's probably what they should do.
Well, look,
relegation. They're in the relegation zone. They're not safe yet. I think they will be safe. I think there are worse teams there than them, and I think with the momentum they have, that they might get out of it.
Yeah.
I like Troy Deeney as well.
They do need to strengthen defence a little bit. I think the one position that is kind of glaringly obvious for them is that left back position, that they've kind of chopped and changed that through the season. They've not had an 8-1 consistent. Danny Rose seemed to be a done deal over the summer. He was at the training ground on deadline day, and that move didn't kind of pan out for him in one of those embarrassing QPR moments. Who was it that went to QPR?
Peter Odemwingie.
That's exactly who it was. Odemwingie went to QPR and didn't get his move.
He drove down himself to force a move.
Yeah, I don't think it was quite that for Danny Rose, but he was at the training ground and he did anticipate a move that didn't really happen for him. So Danny Rose, who obviously still hasn't signed a new contract with Spurs, is still on the market. It would make sense for both clubs.
I think he's injured now, though.
It would not make sense for Watford to sign an injured player. How long is he out for?
I know he's been coming back from injury. They've been playing Vertonghen there. I think it might be a matter of weeks.
Yeah. Right, we'll move on. 2 more to go. West Ham are linked with the return of Darren Randolph, which you've spoken about already, and they're also linked with Gedson Fernandez, as we spoke about already with Everton. No players seem to be on the way out, or at least no first-team players seem to be on the way out of West Ham. Are they a club going nowhere?
Yeah, they're rudderless. And
brought back in David Moyes
is a damning.
Trying to bring back Darren Randolph.
Yeah, they're
scrapping it out with Everton for Gedson Fernandez.
I think they went the wrong way. They tried to go for exotic Manuel Pellegrini.
And as you said on the show last week, they're going to do it again.
They are going to do it again, of course. I stand by that. They're going to
Marco Silva.
Oh, Jesus. That's the wrong sort of exotic. That's just they're going to get nowhere with that. But no, they need to. Maybe David Moyes isn't the worst appointment. Like that,
he'll keep them up.
Maybe kind of 10th, 11th, 12th is. Look, there was a quote 10 years ago from the owners saying that they could be in the Champions League within 3 years, and they've definitely tried that. And
if West Ham win their game, they're level with Everton on 25 points. They're also level with Southampton and Newcastle, but they'll be level with Everton.
I just think they're a bit of a nothing club.
They are, and they have been for. As long as we've been watching the Premier League,
they know what they want to be, but they can't be it.
I think West Ham are probably the best example of this mid-table team. Themselves and Everton are the best example of this mid-table team. They just kind of float around.
West Ham get relegated from time to time.
They do.
They've gone down twice since the turn of the century. They've gone down twice. They shouldn't be going down.
They shouldn't be.
But they shouldn't be getting top 4.
Don't even talk to me about top 4.
But that's what they want. That's what they want. That's their ambition.
They're so far away.
They are. They couldn't be further. And that's the thing with Pellegrini. You would have thought that this season they should have really kicked on, and they've just fallen off a cliff. It just all went wrong.
We spoke a little bit about a couple of Wolves players, Neves and Jimenez, linked with Manchester United. We said that United would be absolutely nuts to spend the type of money that Wolves want for them right now.
Yeah.
I can't see anyone massively major coming in and out of Wolves. Obviously, Adama Traore is linked with a £70 million move. If someone wants to come in and spend £70 million on Adama Traore, I honestly think the Wolves fans they'd be laughing. They'd be absolutely pissing themselves.
Of course they would. It'd be insane money.
It would.
Man.
I mean, you could get Virgil van Dijk for that money 2 years ago.
It's just ridiculous how the market has gone. It's absolutely insane. I mean, as great as James Madison.
But I mean, that's just the number that Wolves slapped, and that just said, "Leave us alone. We're not selling him."
Yeah, but that's the sort like once you slap that price, like I was just going to say, it's the same with Leicester slapping £100 million on James Madison. It's insane money, and they just, that's what clubs do these days. They slap a price. That's what Southampton did with Van Dijk and Liverpool. Like, all right then.
All right. 1 hour and 5 minutes into the show. Very, 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 very quickly. I'm just going to fire some games at you. Give me a result. Don't even give me a score.
Yeah.
Sheffield United, West Ham.
Sheffield United.
Palace, Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Chelsea, Burnley.
Chelsea.
Everton, Brighton.
Draw.
Leicester, Southampton.
Leicester.
United, Norwich.
Draw.
Woo! Oh, man, stop that.
Ollie's at the wheel, heading straight off the cliff.
Oh, stop. Wolves, Newcastle.
Wolves.
Spurs, Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Bournemouth, Watford.
Watford.
Villa, City.
City.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, it's our first pod together of the year.
Yeah, of the decade.
Of the decade.
Happy 2020.
Happy 2020. It's good
Who's going to win the Euros?
England. I said France before.
Well, it's a new decade. You can say whatever you want. Yeah. Sure, you flip flop all the time anyway.
Sure.
Right, guys, we've been the Premier Football. We've been the Premier Football podcast. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you are listening to us on Spotify or another podcast platform, whether you're watching us on YouTube, and if you are watching us on YouTube, there's a little button just right down underneath that you can just click subscribe. And if you were to do that right now, you'd make the two of us very, very happy. We are very close to 50 YouTube subscribers. If you are number 50, we will give you an official
we might
shout
have to do it. Yeah, we might have to do something for number 50.
Who's going to be lucky number 50? Yeah, guys, thank you for all of the support that we had through our first year, 2019. And we are really, 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 really excited for 2020. Please, though, talk about us with other people, share us, and let's get those YouTube subscribers up. Because once we get to 1,000 YouTube subscribers, shit, it's going to get intense. It's going to get real. It's going to get real.
We have a long way to go, but we're on the way. We're only 2 or 3 months into this game, so
that's
just getting started.
Right. Yeah. Joe, great to have you. Great to be back here with you.
Great to be back here with you as well, Rafe. Yeah.
I know you were here last week. Thank you again for Sean Windsor, by the way.
Absolutely. Big thanks to Sean Windsor. Only love for Sean Windsor.
Only love for Sean Windsor. Love for Ethan Costello, Ozzy O'Farrell, all the guys that fill in over the Christmas holidays. We'll have you all back. Like we said, we plan to expand the show to bigger and better things, 3-man, 4-man shows. We might even be lucky enough to get rid of Joe one day.
Or get rid of Rafe.
What you mean, man? What you mean? Right. Yeah, we've been the PFP. Thanks for listening. Thank you and goodbye.